traditional VPNs have been the answer for standard remote connectivity. Water, wastewater is one of those industries that is very common. You can see remote assets connecting to like a main central SCADA plant using a traditional VPN. The use of a virtual private network or VPN is just common. It just provides, so for those of you that are not familiar with VPNs, it provides an encrypted tunnel in between a client and a server, and through that encrypted tunnel you can send any type of data that gets kind of encrypted, wrapped into security layers, and sent to the other side. Now, what is the security that it kind of already happening? It's happening at this layer of the VPN. There is a couple handshakes that have to do of the networking, that have to do of the security. So there's multiple VPN requirements, and this is why secure remote access is an IT job, because it becomes super easy and super complex fast, very fast. So these are the security attributes that, for example, an IPsec VPN can have. So the first things if you want to do is authentication. Authentication can be done through multiple ways. Authentication is like when you walk into an airport and you show your passport or your ID, making sure that the person who holds that airplane ticket is the right person and not somebody else. So that's exactly what happens in the VPN. You have two VPN gateways that need to authenticate to each other. You want to do it through certificates, that is a recommended best practice, but you can also do it through pre-shared keys, that is nothing more than a password. Certificates are that passport, that unique virtual document that will allow them to authenticate the most secure answer. The next level of security is the encryption. The higher the encryption, the better you're going to be. However, it does have a little bit of a performance backdrop. We do recommend AES 256 as the highest encryption standard available. Some of the other ones are good enough, obviously, if you are looking for better performance within your VPN. And then the hashing is nothing more than a mathematical algorithm that kind of just grabs the data and, puts it through that mathematical algorithm and just change it uniquely, that when he gets to the other side, the other mathematical formula kind of like fixes it back together in the same correct order, and you make sure it was not changed on the way. So hashing kind of protects the data on transit at that point. Again, same thing, you just kind of pick that hashing algorithm and you're good to go. Another complexity that a VPN requires is not just the security settings that you have to fulfill when you're building a VPN, but also the networking requirements, right? So if you're going to build your own VPN solution on an industrial control settings, you have to have an internet service provider that provides you a public IP that gives you, or a DNS name. You have to make sure you own the firewall policies at your, for example, SCADA or main office, because you want to open the ports for the VPNs to come through. Like, all of those things are kind of networking requirements. You want to make sure the routes are in place and all of that. So if you kind of put it like, take a step back and you put it on a big picture scenario, you have, and if we take in consideration all of the items that I just mentioned, and you want to deploy your own industrial control system solution, there is a lot of, it's a full-time job, right? You need to make sure you create certificates per user, make sure you open the networks, right? Open the public IP. You want to make sure you have additional audits and logs, and connect this VPN gateways through like a SIEM. And all of this just becomes very complex. You want to monitor it. Security is continuous monitoring. So you want to monitor it to make sure everything is working as expected as well. This can become a complex task, as you can see. It's certificates per user, building the configuration for remote assets, opening the ports, working with IT, creating logging mechanisms. So the idea of all of this, the more users and the more remote devices that you have, the more granularity and the more complexity you're going to get within your own VPN solution. And most of the time for industrial control systems, users, owners of plants, in order to overcome this complexity, some of you might have deployed other remote access tools that can be easier or more intuitive but sometimes they can be more insecure, right? This might have some drawbacks. Like VPNs can be easy. VPNs can be easy depending on what you're doing.